Welcome to the Blitz Growth Podcast. Listen in to learn how founders, entrepreneurs, and creators build and scale their businesses online. Let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Blitz Growth. Today we have Brandon Schaefer here. Unbelievable person, has created a massive channel on YouTube about drawing and watercolors. Really interesting space, really interesting niche, a lot of hobbyists in this space. So there's a lot of noise, and Brandon's been able to really cut through all that noise and create a pretty impressive YouTube channel and pretty impressive business out of it. So Brandon, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Good to be here.
So I would love to kind of dive in and see how you sort of got started. I know art is such a vast industry. So how did you sort of get into art, and then how did you sort of snowball it into this massive YouTube channel and business that you now run?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to keep it quick. Yeah, I started art when I was really young. It's kind of what I've always been drawing since I was a kid. And over the years through school, I just took art classes, stuck with it. And eventually after high school, I went to college, and I went to a local community college, and I went for graphic design. It was technically advertising design, so they did have some art classes with it, but it was mostly graphics based. So this was kind of my route to, I guess, getting a art type of job in the field. But I always had that passion on the side of drawing, and I never really knew what to do with it. While I was in college, I discovered painting, actually. And once I found that, it kind of snowballed from there, and I started posting photos of my paintings on social media, and people said, oh, you should post I had time-lapse videos that I made of my paintings, and people said, you should post these on YouTube. So that's kind of how the whole journey began.
Nice. And so where did you originally post these to? So I assume you got started a while ago. So, the social platforms we have back today aren't what you had back then. Did you sort of start on Flickr and all those sorts of ones? Where did you sort of first start building your online presence?
I think the first thing I actually had was, I did have my own blog spot back in the day. That was the old thing. But I also posted on a Facebook page. So it wasn't until 2011, I think, is when I started posting. So I had a Facebook business page. And I think...
so it's not actually that old.
Yeah, that was the main thing I started. And that's kind of where it all began, I guess.
Nice, because I saw there's one video that you have, I'd love to dive into this a little bit more, that has over 8 million views, which is insane. Such a massively viewed video. So, you obviously got something right with YouTube. And, people, flock to see your videos on drawing and watercolors. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Mostly the drawing nowadays. That's kind of my main viral type of content, I guess, or most viewed videos on there. But yeah, I'm trying to get more watercolor and stuff as well. That's kind of what I focus on nowadays.
Nice. So when looking at this, you've really kind of taken that passion, and then at what point did you sort of realize that, hey, this is actually, this can be my full-time job and business, and this is what I can do all day, every day? When was that kind of tipping point, and when you kind of understood that this was more than just a hobby now?
Well, it's been a few years. I actually have a graphic design as my day job. But I'm trying to get away from that and make the YouTube and kind of my business the full-time thing. So I'm kind of still in progress, I guess, work in progress. But I can say this past year was the best year I've had business-wise. So every year it's been growing better, more and more. So I'm getting closer to that goal that I've had. But probably 4 or 5 years ago, I saw a potential of sometime in the future, in the next 5 to 10 years, I could do this. I just have to come up with, a strategy and a way to actually get there. And I think I'm I'm getting closer every year. So
nice. Yeah, it definitely takes some time. And so looking at that and that process, how did you sort of make your first $100? Like when did you, was it, from YouTube? Was it selling artworks? How did you make your first $100 online?
First $100. I think I sold a painting. I think that's from Facebook. I posted my paintings on my Facebook page, and then a few people were interested, and I sold a few paintings really cheap, like $40 or something, and ended up selling one for $100.
Facebook.
Yeah, so Facebook was the first thing.
Nice. And then, so how come you swapped away from Facebook into YouTube? Did you find that was just a better platform, or what was the reason to start focusing more on YouTube?
Well, I kept focusing on both, but I saw more. I guess I just saw more potential at that time. That time of YouTube, like 2012, 2013, it seemed very active. I know it's funny to say that because it's very active now, but it was very, I don't know. It seemed
easier to grow.
Very different. It was growing, and it was right at the time where there was only a few people monetizing. It was just at the beginning of monetization, and I felt like I was one of the first, so to speak. Not one of the first, but in those few years when a lot of people didn't even know it was possible to monetize on YouTube. So that's kind of what, motivated me, I guess, in some sense.
Yeah, well, there's so many people doing it now. I think one of the most well-paid YouTubers is like a 7-year-old kid or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So diving into YouTube a little bit more. So you've obviously done something really impressive and accumulated, 500,000 plus subscribers on that channel. How did you sort of get to your first 10,000? What do you think the main things contributed to you getting to that 10,000 and to that 500,000 in comparison to a lot of other artists who are also posting stuff to YouTube? How did you get there? And they didn't, I suppose.
That's a good question. I think in the beginning, I kind of remember my first 10,000 actually. That was 2013. It was, in my first year or two being on YouTube. I think it was mostly responding to the comments that I was getting, even if it was only 2 or 3 comments on a video or something, really responding to them, engaging with them, and answering their questions. And also, I ended up, how this whole thing actually started was people would ask me questions about the art I was making. So I would make videos answering their questions and kind of demonstrating things or just explaining it. And I guess eventually it kind of just snowballed over time, just doing the same thing.
So they were almost telling you what content to create. And then that was great because you knew that content would be watched because people were asking for it.
Yeah, I knew at least one person would watch it. And I think I was, in the beginning, it's funny because I always lose sight of this nowadays, but I was so excited about the small number of views and subscribers I had. I was like, man, this video's got 80 views. Like, I was so pumped that like that many people were watching, like 80 people. It doesn't sound like much, but I think it's like, you got to have that enthusiasm and have a purpose of why you're doing it. Like I was doing it because it was fun for me. And I was kind of documenting my journey of art and getting into painting recently and stuff. It was just fun for me. So I think that really helped me to just keep going.
Do you think that's one of the main reasons why your kind of channel took off so well and maybe other people's don't? Because I know there's a lot of people that try really hard to, grow their subscribers and that sort of thing, but they just can't seem to crack it. What do you think other YouTubers are doing wrong in the art space?
It's funny to say this, but I don't know how helpful this will be, but I think I got lucky in some way because back then, like years ago, when I was making content, there wasn't that many artists on YouTube at all. Like when I used to search for art videos, I was like, man, nobody's talking about the topics that I'm talking about. No one's covering this stuff. So I would make a video on the subject and I would be like one of the only videos out there on that topic. So if somebody searched that particular thing, my video would come up. So I think that's part of it, the timing and the content.
Yeah.
But Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not necessarily luck if you're in the right place at the right time. It's you definitely made a conscious decision to sort of make those videos, and people are obviously asking and searching for it because I think what's your most popular video? It's drawing like shapes.
Yeah, it's like a learn to draw series, and the first video is the most viewed one. So.
That's amazing. So do you go back and kind of like remake those videos, or what do you do once you see a really good video? Do you try and expand on it, or do you just say, hey, that's done?
I've done that a few times. I kind of like redid it a little bit, but it doesn't get 8 million views. Obviously, there's something there that I think it's like I think nowadays it's the age of the video and how engaging it is over the years and everything. But who knows how YouTube actually views it? But I have I have recreated those and tried to do like other series, but I'm actually right now I'm in the process of creating a whole course that's more comprehensive than anything on YouTube that I've done. So that's kind of something how this year I'm trying to push my business to the next level and kind of expand it, I guess, in some way. Mm-hmm. So that's something I'm working on right now that I haven't even talked about anywhere. But
yeah, I think a lot of YouTubers or people with social media followings are looking at different ways to monetize their audience. So, YouTube was really good, but I know the monetization is getting kind of like worse and worse. Same with affiliates. We're selling, Amazon things. Those percentages keep getting smaller and smaller. And so I think we are seeing a lot of people who have a talent and want to teach it going towards courses and membership groups and that sort of thing, just because, you have a better connection with your followers. You obviously get paid for your time and effort, which is super important. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like you own that customer now, as opposed to, YouTube or Amazon owning that customer. So yeah, I definitely think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think, the one thing about these social medias is you don't know how long they're going to stick around or at least be in the same state that they are now. So it's important to like be other places and monetize other areas for sure.
Yep. And what would you say out of the videos that you are creating, what do you think the most successful ones are? Are they personal stories, or are they tutorials, or just answering questions? What do you find is your most popular content?
I think at the moment right now, it's been tutorials over the years. Definitely teaching content, and specifically drawing, because that's how everybody finds my channel mostly, is through the drawing content.
You find that you got more into drawing because you had that success? Or would you have always stuck with drawing?
I have over the years, I have gotten more into drawing actually, even though that was kind of my main thing, but painting kind of became my main passion. But I find myself always going back to drawing, and it's actually good for my art anyway to do that. But yeah, I think that success really motivates me to do more of that. And I think it's helpful for me, helpful for my audience, and
Yeah, well, definitely. And I think there's also something soothing about watching like extremely good drawers craft kind of like a piece of art. So I think there's probably a lot of people who are watching it because of that as well. Not just for the learning aspect, but also for the relaxation aspect.
Yeah, definitely. I've got some of the weirdest comments are like, man, I fell asleep watching your video because your voice is so soothing. And like, people watch it for like the sound of my voice and stuff. You never know what aspect people will find interesting about it.
The internet's a scary place.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I had another question here. So if you were going back to, your 2012 self, what are some of the things you would have avoided? Like some things that you like waste a lot of time on or waste a lot of money on? What would you go back and be like, yo, don't do that?
Oh, man.
Deep reflection time now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm very frugal as it is, so I didn't really have a lot of money to spend. But let me think of time. I don't know if there's anything that I wouldn't have done. I think I would have done more. I think I would have been more.
What would you have done more of?
I think I would have been more focused in a specific area, and in certain ways I was. But I think I think even to this day, I'm still kind of all over the place a little too much instead of being more focused. I see a lot of other art YouTubers and stuff nowadays that are pretty successful, and a lot of their videos they have a certain style or a certain way of doing things, and the videos have a certain, they're very focused, I think. And that's something I probably would have focused more on. Like if I should have saw that drawing video was taking off, I should have just went only for the drawing. Like I could have done painting on my own time and just not made videos about it. You kind of have to be choosy, I guess, with what you put out there if you want to go that route.
Yeah, so really niching down, I suppose. Okay, that actually leads into another question. So you said, there are a lot of artists out there. What do you think differentiates your channel or your videos from all the other people trying to post, similar content? But yours seems to get, a lot of traction. You seem to get a lot of subscribers. Why do you think yours is different and possibly, better than a lot of the other stuff that's out there?
That's a good question. I think just the way that I explain things, at least from what I've heard from people that comment and subscribers, they're just like the way you explain, you explain things as if, I try to explain things as if they know nothing about it. I assume they know nothing. So I start from the very, very beginning. And there's a lot of art, people take art classes and stuff, and with professionals or very, artists have been doing it for years and years and years. And they kind of assume that people already know a little bit about sketching and drawing or whatever.
Like they have the basics down and you're just kind of like building on top of that. Yeah. I think YouTube is probably one of the first places people go to start learning something. And then once they get a little bit better, then they probably go and look at, doing courses and things like that, which you were talking about. But there's nothing better than, free education on YouTube. And I think that's one of the first places people start learning a new skill. So targeting the beginner on YouTube, I think, is a really good idea. Now, having to look at your current process where you're at now, what are some of the challenges you're currently trying to overcome? Like, you've hit 500,000, you've got a bunch of active subscribers. Sounds like you're coming out with a course as well. What sort of challenges are you currently struggling with or trying to overcome now that you've sort of like come over that first initial struggle that YouTubers seem to have? And then what's the next challenge that you're now trying to get over?
Well, I guess my main challenge right now, to be honest, is getting my videos to have more views. I have a large subscriber base, but over the years, I've kind of switched mediums and stuff. I started out with acrylic paint, and then I went to oil painting, and then I went to watercolor. So I've kind of, since I've documented my whole journey up until this point, I've had subscribers that are interested in different things. And, even though I have this large base, potentially, doesn't mean that all of them view the videos all the time. So I think the challenge that I'm kind of focusing on this year is to be more focused, as I was saying, mainly focus on drawing, maybe a little bit of watercolor here and there, but really stay focused and cater to that main base that I have to try to increase my views, which will increase the monetization and all that kind of stuff.
Do you sort of dive into all of the crazy analytics and algorithm updates and changes that Google goes through? Or do you sort of just say, okay, this is getting a lot of views, this is getting a lot of comments, that must be good, checkbox?
Sometimes I view the analytics and it's just, sometimes it gets too much or it gets depressing, and I focus on it too much instead of like, I need to just create something that I enjoy. Like, why am I worrying about? It's good to see what works and what doesn't work, but it's also good to just focus on the creating, because that's how I got there in the first place, was just being myself and creating honestly. So,
yeah, I think once you try and game it or force it, it probably does the opposite of what you want it to do.
Yeah. And if you become successful in something you don't enjoy, then you're stuck doing something you don't enjoy. So it's kind of a lose-lose to really do it that way. Yeah. I think so.
It's a good takeaway for people listening. Don't do it because you have to, do it because you love it. Okay, that's a really good one. And just had a few final questions here that I wanted to go over. So looking at the next kind of like year or two, it sounds like you are coming out with that course, but then what are you sort of focusing on? Still building your social channels, or, selling art through your website? What's kind of like, your priority for the next, or let's say 2021?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've thought about it yet, but to be honest, but no, I think
we're doing 2021 resolutions right now.
Yeah. This is my resolutions right now. I think my main focus is like the YouTube right now. Once I finish this course, like in the next month, it's going to be launching. It's like a beginner drawing fundamentals course. And then focusing on consistency in the YouTube, at least one video a week, because I've been bad at that the last few months or whatever. I've also, last year was actually the most art I've ever sold online in 1 year. And I think it was mainly because I started live streaming a lot on my YouTube channel. Like some weeks I was doing 5 days a week, every day for an hour, and just doing like a drawing or a painting. And a lot of the paintings were selling. So I think, just more of that kind of thing, because it seemed to be successful. I was connecting with my audience more. And so I think just more consistency with live streams, more consistency on actual YouTube videos. And that's probably the main area.
So for those live streams, do you find that it's just like good for the time that's running, or do you find that they still get views later on? Or is the value of the live just literally that hour that you're actually live and then it's gone?
They don't usually get that many views, but they do get a little bit afterwards, like the next day or two. There are people that wish that they wish that I streamed at a different time because they're on the other side of the earth. So they watch the replays and stuff. But mostly it's while it's going, but they do get a little traction afterwards.
How do people usually buy in your live stream? Because I know, so many platforms are trying to figure out this live streaming and /purchase thing. Like, TikTok's trying to do it, Facebook's trying to do it. There's a bunch of platforms that are trying to kind of nail the live stream plus purchase combo. So how are people kind of buying your artwork from this live stream? Are they just commenting saying like, hey, I'll buy this? Or are you kind of like sending them somewhere to go and buy it or something? What's the process in when someone buys something from your live stream?
I have had a few people comment and say like, oh, I'll buy this one when you finish the video. I'll send you an email. So I have done it that way. But mostly I send them to my website. So I have all my art for sale on there. And I put up like a little, as I'm live streaming, I put up a little photo that I made that, kind of like an ad. So I always try to remember, like every 20 minutes, I'll just post that photo and be like, if you want to see more of my art or for purchase, I have art like this on my website, and send people that way.
Yeah, you should do like a live deal. So while the live webinar's going, you get like $20 off or something if you buy now. See if that works or something.
Oh yeah,
so
that's a good idea actually.
Really like instant. If you buy it right now, it's like you're taking part in the live and you can get rewarded for it.
Like a scarcity deal type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that works out, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. I might try that one.
Awesome. Just a few more here. So this one is a little bit more to help everybody else trying to grow their YouTube channels. What are 3 tips that you would give someone who's starting out today? They don't have kind of like any experience with YouTube. What would be the 3 tips that you would give them to start growing their YouTube channel in whatever niche it may be? It doesn't have to be art.
Right. Consistency. Be consistent with how you post. It doesn't even have to be same time, same day every week or anything. As long as you're just posting consistently, maybe 1 to 2 videos a week. More could be better, but 1 to 3 times a week. Focus on content of the video. Don't worry about the quality, because the quality of my most popular video, that 8 million, the quality is terrible from 2013, and it's still getting that many views. So it's really focused on the content and the value you can bring to the audience, like what they're actually looking for, whether that's entertainment or knowledge, education, whatever it is. One more tip.
Yeah, because I think I'll ask you a task actually, so you can still think of that third one. But I've got a follow-up question about the quality stuff, because I do know a lot of people get so strung up on like, I need the best camera, I need the best mic. And like, there's literally YouTube channels about filming the best YouTube video.
Yeah, definitely. And I've watched a lot of those. And I was recently going crazy, like, I need to get a better camera and all this stuff. This was like last week. I need a better camera. I realized I just needed to change my lighting and my background and on me. Like sometimes it's a small little simple fix that, you just have to really try everything.
Yep.
I think one last tip. I would say just be yourself, don't try to be like anybody else, just because I think the people are really looking for authenticity nowadays, especially nowadays. So if you just be yourself, you don't have to put on an act. It's not going to be difficult for you. If you just be who you are, then there's going to be people out there that will follow you for who you are. And that's who you want. That's who you want behind you.
No, it's a good point, because there's a lot of people trying to be who they're not on social media now.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many people that think they need like all this energy, like, what's going on? Like, you don't, just relax. Like, just be yourself. If you're soft spoken, like me, I'm kind of really chill guy. So I just get on there and just be myself. There's people out there that are similar to you that will watch you.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably also a bit more relaxing listening to someone who's just mellow and like not trying to scream something at you.
Well, it stands out too nowadays. It definitely stands out from the rest of everybody else. So.
Okay. And then that last follow-up question I had was, from that filming setup, it sounds like you kind of fix your lighting and everything, but what do you sort of do to make sure your video quality is kind of good? Because I know, looking at the drawing side of things, you probably do have to have some level of quality for them to actually see how impressive the artwork is. Because I know that's a big thing in the art world. I know with my parents who are in that space, the quality of those images do make a big difference when they're kind of like selling online, or they're putting stuff out for an exhibition or something like that.
Well, luckily nowadays, the average smartphone that most people have is better than the camcorder that I was using in 2013 for all my videos. So most people, it's not really an issue, I would think. Just, if you have to, just use your iPhone. I mean, the iPhone, if you have like an iPhone 6 and above, you're going to be fine. And I think most people nowadays might have something like that. If not, a few years ago, I invested in a cheap DSLR camera. It was like $600, and it's not like a top of the line camera. And I still use that same camera to this day. So it's not about how expensive the camera is or how good it is. It's just, as long as you get something that's decent quality, you'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest factor we realized when making video content is the lighting. Like, it's not even, like 90% of the time, it's not even about the camera. Like, as you were saying, it's literally just like where the light is hitting. And, that exposure of you as a subject, which was fascinating for me, because I didn't really look at any of this stuff. And then, one of my friends was like, hey, your videos are terrible. And I was like, thanks. And then so I started doing a bit of research, and, all of the problems that we had, we pretty much just fixed with, having a light on our face and a little bit behind us, not overexposing it. And then that fixed everything pretty much. So is there a specific place you draw?
Specific place? Yeah, on my table right over there beside me. Yeah, I just draw in my room, and yeah, it's pretty much it.
Okay.
Sometimes when I do the watercolors, I actually go outside and paint on location. And I have like a little GoPro that I attach to my sketchbook with a little clamp and stuff. So you just cool. You just do what works. Do what you can. That's the main thing. All
righty, well, that's all questions I have for you, and kind of like learned so much from this. And really, congratulations on growing a channel. It's an amazing feat getting to 500,000, producing some great content that people are really interested in. So a little bit more about you, like Brandon, where can everybody find you, whether it's YouTube or your new course you might be releasing? Where can they go to find out more about you, your artwork, your channel, that sort of stuff? This is your moment to sort of let everybody know where they can find you.
Cool. I'm on Instagram, YouTube. I think I have Twitter too, but not really active on there. Nobody really follows me on there. Yeah.
So don't contact Brandon.
Yeah, I'm Schaefer Art on Instagram, Schaefer Art on YouTube, Schaefer Art on Facebook. I think that's probably the main things that I post on. I have a Pinterest as well, so I don't know if people use Pinterest. I'm on there too. So,
are you thinking about getting into TikTok or no? Too crazy.
I do have a TikTok actually. I haven't used it in like 2 or 3 years. I posted like one time-lapse video or something, but no, I haven't gotten into that space yet, unfortunately. But
no, I think you're nailing on YouTube, so you don't necessarily
have
to watch it.
I think I'm good for now. So
yeah. Well, awesome, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And there's all the spots you can find Brandon. We'll add all of these links and everything in there for you, so you can go check out some of his videos, some of his artwork. And, at the point when you launch your course, Brandon, be more than happy to, funnel people that direction as well if you're looking to actually learn a little bit more about drawing and the basics and fundamentals of that. So, Brandon, thank you so much for joining, and we really appreciate your time.
If you like the show, remember to share it with friends and coworkers. You can also check us out and share past episodes at blitzgrowth.com. Hit subscribe and leave a review letting us know how this podcast has personally helped you and your business. If you have any topics you'd like us to cover, make sure to send us an email via blitzgrowth.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on our next episode.